urbanization and digitalization go hand in hand. Organizations must adapt and find ways to communicate over greater distances to increase productivity and efficiency.
AVI SPL is an international provider for audiovisual and unified communication services. They help companies with the process of workplace transformation. They have been granted several awards for their business strategy. In 2019, they've been named Samsung Diamond Partner of the Year, to name one of them. Ronald Hase is Business Development Manager at AVI SPL, and today he is here to discuss digital workplace transformation. Please welcome Ronald Hase.
Hello everyone, great to be here today. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. I'd like to give a special thanks to Dr. Gebauer and entire organizational staff for making this a wonderful experience to date. Great information in your sessions, and I look forward to the further conversations. So, the digital workplace experience. Can you guys hear me okay? So starting out here, today's population is 7.6 billion. Over the next 20 years, we're going to be at 10.5 billion. That's the estimate. Question is, where will all these people go? How will they use digital data? Where will they live? How will they consume? These are the type of trends that we'll be looking at in this presentation today. 200 billion. That's the amount of devices that are on the internet today or feeding information into the Internet of Things. Within 5 years, that's expected to double. Sensors, information, things being fed into the Internet of Things, which I'm sure is a format or something that you've heard of before. So the transformation of the workplace, well, the buildings that we live in, the houses that we live in might remain the same. The actual spaces that we utilize and the interfaces that we use are going to change. So based on data that we've received from various real estate firms, JLL, CBRE, from reports like Forrester and Gartner, we know that the real estate occupier, in other words, the person living in these homes, the person living in these offices, these are the top things that are going to influence on where they live and how they consume. Everything from wellness in the workplace, we're seeing this trend in a lot of companies that we work with today where they're putting in fitness studios, gyms, and exercise programs for their employees. Communities and teams, I'm sure that's something that you participate here in at the school. Also on the digital side with places like Microsoft Places or Spaces and consolidating or collaborating in that way. Future skilling, in other words, where will we work? Do we want to work for a company that's actually training us and giving us additional information? And of course, smart real estate estates. I won't go through each individual item, but smart building conference, right? Smart buildings, things that are going to actually make us more efficient, more energy efficient, and reduce our carbon footprint in the future as well. Very important topics. So the way that the workplace is changing, if you take a look at it now, we're becoming more of a liquid workforce. What that means is your generation, the folks working today, are actually going to be not necessarily on long-term work contracts with companies, but working on project-based type projects, meaning that you get together, work a project, and then you disband again. Hyper-connected workforce, so the way that we integrate, the way that we communicate is going to be really connected on a technology standpoint that allows us to be more collaborative. What that means is instead of sending hundreds of emails back and forth, printing out 5,000 pages worth of documents when we actually have a meeting, we'll be able to store this data on a centralized area and then create a team environment so that when the team gets together again, all of that information is there in real time and available to the entire team. Global urbanization, as I said before, 10.5 billion. Where's everybody going to live? Where are they going to live? Now, if we have any Judge Dredd fans, not sure, but if people are going to start living in megacities, how will they react? How will they look? How will we consume, and how will the digital workplace look there as well? The most important thing I want you to see in this side is it's all going to be involved around the human experience. That's how consumers, that's the way businesses, that's their number one focus right now is the human experience. So I'm sure there's a few names up here that you're all familiar with. And these are examples of a experience type environment where consumers want to have the extra user experience. I order my pizza from Domino's, your pizza's being made, we're putting on your salami toppings, it's being delivered, it's going to be in your house in 15 minutes. Uber, Spotify, Amazon. The funny thing about Amazon, I'm sure everybody's heard Amazon Prime. And I saw a commercial. Any NFL fans here? Any football fans? Excellent. Any Green Bay Packer fans? Oh, yes. All right. Go Pack, go. So I saw a commercial where Amazon is actually now offering 2-hour delivery of food. So if you want to have a grill party, an ad hoc grill party at home, you can order, and within 2 hours you'll have all of your chips, your tacos, your dips, your steaks, and you'll be ready to go. And it reminded me of about a comedy skit I saw on Netflix. The comedian was talking about Amazon Prime developing into Amazon Now. So I want it now. I click on it and I want it in my hand right now. And that's going to develop into an Amazon Before. So before we even know we want it, it's going to be delivered to our house. Sounds kind of far-fetched, but we know with artificial intelligence and other things being developed right now, it's not too far-fetched. So let's take a look at workplace transformation in the experience market and take a look at the different generations. Now, I would imagine the majority of the generations that we have here are millennials and post-millennials. Is that true? Do we have any Generation Xers in here? There we go. 2? All right. Hey, we're representing. Do we have any baby boomers or, very good, very good. Traditionalists? Okay, that might be going a little bit further back, right? But if you take a look at these, I guess, characteristics of the different generations, does anything in there fit to the way that you consume, the way that you work, and the way that you experience your day-to-day activities? The important thing here, what I think is really interesting, is what we're seeing in the millennial and the post-millennial environment. Workplace experience, the environment that I have at where I work and live, is more important than money. This is something that's going to be very important to the post-millennial generation, which I think is amazing. I'm also very impressed. I mean, I have to admit, I have millennial children, 2 millennial children, and I have a post-millennial grandchild. So I'm always looking, I'm always having conversation, and I'm always interested in learning. And I think one of the most exciting things here is this autonomy, creativity, results, and improving society. And we'll talk a little bit more later on data and information being fed into the digital workplace, but how that's being used to actually make us more productive and more creative. So I can share this information with you later on, reach out to the staff, and I can share some of the data with you if you're interested in it. But I think this is kind of fitting, right? So another important thing is permanent freelancers, right? So the trends are showing that the workforce from the post-millennials are not going to be your traditional 100-year contract or signing a work contract and staying with the same company for 40 years. But again, you're going to work on a project-based element. You're going to be the freelancers or the hired guns, so to say, that work on a project that's specific for you. And I think that's also exciting. So how do we deliver? In other words, how do we position ourselves as an organization when we're actually delivering these things for our customers, right? It really comes down to simple things: standardized, simplified, scalable, and serviceable. What does that mean? That really talks about finding the right technology, how to implement that technology. I'm sure you're all familiar. I'm sure you have a great technology and IT department here as well. And how does that fit in to improve workflow to create a better experience? And what I mean by better experience is making you more productive, right? And also making you more creative. What does a smart space look like? Here's an example, right? I mean, I know it's a lot of, when we talked about those 200 billion devices doubling over the next 5 years, this is the type of information that's going to be fed in and data that's going to be used to analyze and put us in an optimal working environment. Everything from efficiency in the way that we book our meetings, the way that we book our rooms, white noise cancellation, being able to have a smart building. In other words, when nobody's in a room, it's not being occupied, we're going to shut off the lights. And also being able to have a resource pool. And what does that mean? That means using less real estate and being able to plan meetings, plan working spaces without having to actually have the real estate, which actually saves on costs and also on your footprint for your capital investments that you have in actually owning a building, let's say, for example. So here's an example. Here's an example of a solution that's out there today, right? Visitor management. When somebody comes to visit, what type of experience do they have within your organization, right? So being able to come into an organization and actually book in order, I need a desk, I need a power supply, I need to have coffee, I need to have pizza at 11 o'clock, I need to have video teleconferencing capabilities, and I need a telephone. And I book that if I'm working for an organization, in Frankfurt, and I go to visit an organization in China, let's say, for example. I do not need to know where I'm going because I can book all of that in advance. It's kind of providing the information, I guess, from the consumer side that you see today, the way that you consume, the way that you buy, the way that you purchase, and the things that you use in your private life. People want to have that also on their professional side. In other words, in their workplace, they want to have those same types of user experience. So an example of this, and our Symphony platform is an example where we actually use actionable business intelligence. So all of this data is being fed into one platform to provide our customers with an overview of how their resources are being used. So in other words, I have 10 conference rooms. Of those 10 conference rooms, only 5 are being used. Why? Who's using them? Do I have the wrong technology in the rooms? Do I need to put different types of technology in the room to optimize the usage? Additionally, that actionable business intelligence allows us to put together data and information to make us more cost effective and also to reduce our carbon footprint. How do we do that? Well, by scheduling and meeting on a virtual platform or over video, we reduced our travel costs, less travel. I always tell customers, I've been in Shanghai, I've been in Frankfurt, and I've been in San Juan, and I've never left my desk. So with less travel time, we're actually reducing our carbon footprint, we're saving time, and we're saving resources as well. How many folks here do video probably on a regular basis, FaceTime, et cetera? Do you also use that here at the school? Do you use video resources when you're working with other organizations, maybe Skype for Business and things like that? It's a technology that's going to continue to trend. So considerations and requirements. So integrated workplace management solutions. That's what I was talking about, those sensors being deployed and being used to collect that data. When we put this information together, obviously it's very busy slide, but there's information in how that data is being used. Everything from the programs and the solutions that you may be familiar with that you see up there, and then also in what verticals it's being used as well. Everything from booking, calendaring, reporting, etc. The business intelligence portion of it, through our solution, and again, this is something I think many companies are interested in. I think any school or any actual private user would be interested in as well. How am I saving? In other words, how am I saving on the carbon footprint, distance traveled, time saved, etc. And this is the type of information that we can provide based on this digital workplace information that we're getting from day-to-day meetings. Now again, how this information is used is always a question. I thought the presentation that we just had before was also very important to this discussion, right? When we look at digital dexterity, when I talk to my kids, they ask me to play a game with them, and they say, "Dad, you have no digital dexterity," right? Because they want to play Madden or FIFA, and I have no idea how to do any of this. But if you give me a game of Pac-Man or Flipper, then I'm really good at that because that's about the limit of my dexterity as a Generation X. But I think what's important is everyone has a responsibility to ask, okay, if I do consume, and I consume, my daughter told me about this application that I use, let's say, for example, in showing how people consume or where they decide to consume or what companies they decide to work for, where it's a code check, where I can actually code check products that I buy. And that gives me information on not only the the nutritional information of food I'm buying, let's say, for example, but also information about the company that manufactured that, whether it be clothing or whether it be a product is irrelevant. But it can show me, okay, what's the green initiative of that company? Do they have a green initiative? Do they use things like child labor? Are they, mining natural resources out of the rainforest, so that you can actually use this data to drive your decisions on how you consume? And that's, I think, the most important thing especially for the post-millennial and the millennial age, is you are really using this information. You're informed, and you're using data that you're receiving, whether it be through social media or other areas. Do your research. You fact check. And when you have that information, you make decisions based on how you consume. And that, of course, is going to drive the economy, right? So again, that code check app, just to use that, it's influenced me, right, on how I purchase and how I acquire things, now that I have a granddaughter especially, to make sure that I'm buying things that are green and not red, because a company may have a spotty history or something's not nutritional, right? So those are just things to think about on how you consume. And in addition to that, I think it also influences on where you want to work. I know working for AVI SPL, that directly influenced my decision to work for this company, because I wanted to work with a technology company that was driving technology to actually make us more efficient, to make us more productive, to make us more creative, and reduce our carbon footprint. So again, we have some data that we can provide to you if you're interested in this. But we have reports on showing hours saved, what hours saved actually equates in travel costs, cost for room utilization, decrease in client internal, et cetera. These are things that we can provide to you as well. And again, a couple of awards. Thank you very much for providing that before. I do have a Q&A session up here, but I was told we won't have time for Q&A. But I'm interested in having conversations with all of you during the time today. I'm interested in the debates and further discussion. Again, a great forum. I think it promotes communication and sharing information with another. So congratulations to you all, and thank you for the invitation.